Attitude is Everything's Accessible Funding Guide. Episode 4. The video opens on Lamyaa, an average-height North African Arab woman in her early 30s with a medium skin tone and curly dark hair, covered by a baker boy hat and dressed in country-style attire.
If you are a disabled person, even though it's for people up to 25, you can apply if you're between 25 and 30 if you're disabled. So I was able to meet that category. That was my first exposure to funding.
The video fades into an introduction to the series from Joy, a black woman in her 30s with long braids and wearing glasses and wearing an all-black outfit. The video then shows Lamyaa and Joy sitting in a large room, which is lit by soft, focused lighting. On the left is Joy, and on the right is Lamyaa.
Do you know anything about funding? Well, neither did I, until I sat down with 4 amazing people to talk all things disability and bid writing. So if you're an artist and you're disabled and you want to find out how to write funding applications, then continue watching these 4 amazing interviews. My name's Joy Addo and I'm the Digital Content Coordinator at Attitude is Everything. Thanks for joining and keep watching. Welcome.
Hello.
And thank you for joining me. Let's kick things off. Brief introduction. Could you tell me your name, your pronouns and your hometown?
Yeah, sure. My name is Lamyaa Elgen. I am 30. I live in southwest Oxfordshire and my pronouns are she, her.
Amazing, Lamyaa. And could you tell me a little bit about the music industry that you're a part of? So tell me a bit about your music, what you do. Yeah, how's that scene for you?
Yeah, so I am a singer-songwriter and pianist, but I'm looking more into composition and visual composing. That's what I would say.
How would you say that your lived experience as a disabled person has impacted your creative practice and also your business approach?
I was lately diagnosed on the autistic spectrum, also lately diagnosed with ADHD. And throughout my 20s, I've navigated fibromyalgia, endometriosis and PMDD as well. And they've had a significant impact on sometimes my ability to even create and get to the studio, and it can impact where, for example, if I'm overstimulated from a neurodivergent perspective, that can feed into my other conditions. My physical conditions especially they're long-term and they're fluctuating. I want to do everything at once. However, I learned last year that when I released a single and I ended up burning out from the single campaign, and a lot of that made me woke me up and made me realize how important it is to listen to our bodies and also not give in to the pressures of what is expected of us as artists. And that really was a breaking point in, okay, what is within my capacity? And then also what can I offer at this given moment in time, which is really difficult to do because when you have so many ideas and you can see kind of the long vision of your projects and where you want to go, it can really feel heavy when you're too fatigued to even get up and go to the studio, or that you're having brain fog, so you haven't played the piano in a while. So there are so many factors. For me, it's had a really big impact, and if I'm being transparent, it's I'm still learning how to navigate those and also doing it in a more gentle way, in a more compassionate way.
Let's talk a little bit about funding.
Yes.
Have you applied for any funding? Have you been successful? How did you prepare for that?
Yes, so I have applied for music funding twice in my life. The first was Youth Music, the Next Gen Fund. And I was able to apply for that because if you are a disabled person, even though it's for people up to 25, you can apply if you're between 25 and 30 if you're disabled. So I was able to meet that category. That was my first exposure to funding, and my active project now is with Help Musicians, and that I'm actively under right now.
Prior to writing your application and during the process, Did you have any hesitations or was there any challenges for you in terms of your access requirements that flagged up for you? And did you feel comfortable to like ask for support with that? Or how did you navigate that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I definitely found it challenging. Applying for funding reminded me of when I was back in uni and, you know, trying to do a thesis in like 3 days. It's not fun, especially if you're neurodivergent. Like, deadlines are not fun. And part of my autism profile is like navigating demand avoidance, which is like not really talked about often, but it's essentially where a pressure or a demand, whether that comes from you or elsewhere, it can really feel very distressing and intense. So you may, for example, in my case, I really wanted to apply, but it just felt like there was a barrier stopping me. And then on top of that, the overwhelm of the actual physical process of like typing or recording an application. Where do you even start? And then at the same time, perfectionism, which is something I feel a lot of disabled people and neurodivergent people experience. There's so much energy that you have to like exert to do something like this.
Yeah.
For me, it felt like my perfectionism was coming in because I wanted to do the best I could do. One thing I did, which I found helpful, was this was even before I applied for Help Musicians, and this was probably like months and months before. I applied to one of their seminars, and I think it was for International Women's Day, and Help Musicians did a seminar I think it was more orientated for women who were applying for the first time, and I found that really helpful, and I took some notes from that. And I wasn't intended to apply straight after that, but I found those notes helpful from when I wanted to apply later.
Yeah.
So I would definitely take advantage of any inductions, webinars, Q&As. It's really scary, and I know it feels counterintuitive to share like your access needs. I know, especially in like the employment world, it can feel like it can feel scary to even go to an interview and share your access needs, right? But yeah, honestly, in a situation of a funding application, especially for your first time, what you don't want is to, you know, kind of shy away from it or sugarcoat it, and then down the line you're feeling really stressed. And by the way, I'm talking as someone who has shared my access needs in my application process, and I'm still navigating that later, and I'm still like having to communicate changes in my access too. Yeah. So it's going to be essentially, see it as a long-term journey. Yeah. And a long-term kind of relationship that you'll build, and it's a learning process for everyone. And I've learned a lot through my experience. I just want to be transparent to everyone watching is that I in my case with Help Musicians, I was awarded the funding actually this time last year, and I was not in a position to accept it. There was so much happening. I was on sick leave, and I physically couldn't like do anything about it, and it made me I felt so much guilt around it. And eventually, when it came towards the end of the year, I realized, you know what, I had to tell myself, no, you did get funding and you weren't in a place to use it properly, but you know, see what you can do now. And actually, I ended up rewriting and changing my proposal after reflecting on that burnout. And also, I went through that process of doing another proposal with those changes, justifying those changes. I explained why I wanted to work with different collaborators, the project that I wanted to work on, why it's accessible for me right now, and also extended the deadline as well. And I think that provided so much breathing space. Yeah, it wasn't fun to do it wasn't fun doing a second like application. Yeah, but at the same time, I felt being transparent and honest with the funder allowed me to. It really kind of took a lot of weight off my shoulders, which can be a really hard thing when you're kind of going through things and you're not. It feels like you're by yourself. Yeah. So that's what I would recommend. I think we should never feel that we can't talk about our access needs, because it's so important, and burnout is not fun. So yeah, we need to, it works both ways. It's amazing to receive funding, but we also need to look after ourselves in the process.
So that you can use it.
Precisely. Exactly, yes.
Yeah, no one wants to burn out. Lamyaa, thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Sorry if I chatted on, but you've been lovely and it felt very natural talking to you. And I wish everyone the best of luck, whoever is applying. And don't do it last minute. But yeah,
that's a good bit of advice.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Joy.
Attitude is everything. Find out more via attitudeiseverything.org.uk.